Unlike most board meetings, the annual Neepawa District Chamber of Commerce AGM is always a special event for the town of Neepawa. While business certainly gets taken care of, including the treasurer's report and election of directors, the chamber uses a majority of the time to allow its guests and speakers to shine. This year's keynote speaker is Chuck Davidson, President and CEO of the Manitoba Chambers of Commerce, who gives a lively presentation on how Manitoba needs to learn how to tell our own story, highlighting the strengths and opportunities in the province. Master of Ceremonies, Amanda Nightingale, is also given an opportunity to give a short presentation on the value of volunteerism in the community, and gives attendees several avenues to involve themselves, their businesses, and their staff members in local volunteer projects. And of course, the Chamber AGM always features the presentation of the Business of the Year Award, which goes to, well, I'll just let you see.
Thank you so much to the Neepawa Legion and the Ladies Auxiliary for that wonderful meal. And thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Amanda Nightingale. I am the Community Ministries Director for the Salvation Army, and I'm also the National President for KIN Canada. And I am pleased to be your MC tonight. I'd like to acknowledge that today that we are gathered here on Treaty 2 territory, the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Assiniboine, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Métis Nation. And as we work, live, and play on these lands, let us do so in a spirit of understanding and reconciliation, that we strive towards our commitment and responsibility in improving relations between nations, and to improve our own understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their culture. All right. We want to thank those who have, let's make sure that I can do this. We want to thank our sponsors tonight. Thank you very much to High Life Foods and the Neepawa Gladstone Co-op, our gold sponsors. Our other gold sponsors are Stride Credit Union and Journey Wealth. Thank you also to gold sponsors Taylor Law Patterson LLP. And to our evening silver sponsors, World Financial Group at 244 Hamilton Street branch, and the Neepawa Legion branch number 23, and Myers Norris Penny. All right, our agenda tonight. We'll be hearing from our guest speaker shortly, and then moving on to our annual general meeting for the Neepawa District Chamber of Commerce pretty soon. However, it was kind enough that Jennifer and the Neepawa Chamber of Commerce asked me to MC tonight, but gave me a short time on the agenda to talk about the value of volunteering. So I've been a member of this community for about 20 years, and one of my very first things that I did to meet new people was to gain more community connections, was to join the Neepawa King Club. So I also gravitated to their motto, serving the community's greatest need. And my time at KIN has really provided me with incredible experiences, friendships, personal and professional development, and community connections. And I've represented my community in leadership positions at our zone, which is kind of southwestern Manitoba, our district, which is Manitoba and northwestern Ontario, and at the national level, which is all of Canada. This year, I have the privilege of being the 104th National President for KIN Canada. So not only am I the ambassador for the organization, but I also am the chair of the National Board of Directors. So this really has given me a lot of opportunity to grow professionally and personally, for sure. However, being a KIN member is not my only volunteer experience. I have had many volunteer experiences in this community. I have been president of the Chamber of Commerce, Arts Forward, White Mud Comedy Company. I've sat on the Margaret Lawrence Home and the Lily Festival boards as well. And I've done all of this while raising a family and working full time. My current employment at the Salvation Army also has a really strong connection with volunteers. And we truly could not serve our community without the generosity of people and volunteering their time. So I feel that I can speak with some expertise on the value of volunteering. So the volunteer landscape really has changed And a lot of sectors are hurting. Many organizations relying on volunteers are looking to close their operations, or they're scaling back because there aren't enough people stepping forward. So what does that mean to a community? What does that mean to your business? Volunteer organizations are important parts of communities. They provide many services, fundraising streams, project implementation, recreation and cultural supports, and programming for residents of our community. And without volunteers, we do not have sports leagues, playgrounds, recreational improvement, arts and cultural programming, business and tourism, marketing, and supports and community events. Without these things, there becomes less reasons to stay in a community, to come to a community, to spend money in a community. And that is the direct impact to every business. Now, many businesses are great at sponsoring organizations financially, but that investment of you and your employees' time as a volunteer in the community can potentially see bigger returns on that investment directly into your business. Volunteering your time creates better connections with your community, and this connection increases your public relations and creates a loyalty of support within your community members. It also is a great way to increase your employees' engagement, and not only in the community, but within the workplace and with other staff. Employees really benefit from volunteering. There are many studies to show that the benefits of volunteering within the context of employment. And volunteering is a great way to team build, develop skills, connect with the community, and increase innovation and creativity. All of those areas will increase a return on the investment of the time in your business. Now, there are many ways to volunteer in a community, but belonging to a service organization or a service club really does bring a higher level of personal and professional development to those that involve themselves. If you choose to join or encourage employees to be a member of a service organization, it's really the most inexpensive and hands-on professional development that you can give your employees. It really is an investment back into the quality of employees into your business. You know, a covering of a membership of $200 to $300 perhaps for a year can earn your employee with the skills such as leadership development, event planning, project management, meeting management, public relations and marketing, needs assessments, networking, community connection, governance. There's all sorts of things. The list goes on and on and on. And all of those skills build more engaged employees, which in turn will benefit your business. So these are just a few things that our little club does within the community. And you just think that this is one service organization in our community. So without, say, us, what happens? Less support to the Roxy Theatre, to NACI, to NACTV. The town of Neepawa has maybe less volunteers for some of their recreation programs. The Breakfast Club, has a little bit more challenge. There isn't as much money there. Maybe we don't have seniors housing like Kinsman Courts, or bursaries, or we don't have other volunteers to help out with things like Neepawa Tourism or the Chamber. So as you look around, and if you are wondering what you can do in 2024, maybe looking at a service organization, maybe joining the Chamber as or the tourism as a board member might be an opportunity for your business to really give back to the community, to really give an investment that you will see really honestly 10 times fold. So thank you very much for this little bit of time. I hope that when you look around at your staff and your employees and what you do in the community, that you can look at how you can give back, and whether that is as a team or individually, that I just encourage you to do so. It really does help make us one of the best towns to live in. So right now, I am going to introduce to you our keynote speaker. So Chuck Davidson is the president and CEO of the Manitoba Chamber of Commerce. And since 2013, Chuck Davidson has been the president and CEO of the Manitoba Chamber of Commerce, MCC, the largest business advocacy organization in the province, representing 64 local Chamber of Commerce and nearly 10,000 organizations throughout Manitoba. Under his leadership, MCC has seen a renewed focus on policy and advocacy as the voice of business in Manitoba, and has been recognized as an accredited Chamber of Commerce with distinction for 15 years. Chuck is tirelessly a community booster and a passionate champion of economic development in Manitoba. He currently co-chairs the Rural Manitoba Economic Development Corporation and the $20 million Manitoba Mineral Development Fund, is a board member of the Community Economic Development Fund, and serves as the co-chair of the Travel Manitoba Provincial Tourism Strategy. In addition, he is currently the chair of the Canadian Chamber of Commerce Accreditation Council and past president of the Chamber of Commerce Group Plan Insurance. Please welcome Chuck Davidson.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Amanda, for that introduction. That was terrific. Just want to recognize as well, I know we've got the mayor, Brian Headley's here. I just want to recognize him, as well as your MLA, Jody Byram, in the back as well. So I want to recognize both of them for attending tonight. I want to thank you for all coming to a chamber event. This is terrific. I assume you're all up for election tonight, which is going to make this really exciting at the end of the night. I'm really looking forward to those. So, thank you very much for coming out. In the introduction, so I've been in this role for 11 years. And typically when I come out and speak, I'm asked a lot of times to speak about what are the benefits of being involved with your Chamber of Commerce and what's the role of the Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to change it a little bit tonight. And so in my role, so I grew up in a small northern Manitoba mining community. I get rural Manitoba. I may have an office at the corner of Portage and Main, but I'm a lot more comfortable getting outside the perimeter, speaking in rooms like this, and talking about the benefits of both the Chamber, but also the opportunities for our province. And I want to take you back a week. Last week, I had been invited to take part in a Western Canadian Economic Forum that was going on in Calgary. And so I got the invitation to come and speak to this event probably about 4 months ago. This was the first time they were going to pull this together. And so initially when they said, can you come out and talk about sort of the Manitoba advantages? What's going on in Manitoba? Give us a lay of the land in terms of what's happening in Manitoba. I said, absolutely, happy to do so. And so that was about 4 months ago. When I got to this event, there was probably about 250 business, government, leaders from across Alberta, Saskatchewan, and there was 5 of us from Manitoba. I was the only one that was on the program. I was the only speaker representing Manitoba. And so over the course of an entire day with business and government leaders in the room, I got to hear about everything that's great in Alberta, in Saskatchewan, and in the panel that I was on, I had the opportunity to talk about the Manitoba advantages as well. Most people in the room had no idea about the Manitoba advantages. I got to hear about the oil and gas sectors. I got to hear about all of the people that were moving to Alberta, the influx of people from every other province that was coming to that province. I got to hear about Saskatchewan's trade component. I got to learn that in Saskatchewan, they have 9 international offices in Japan, Germany, China, the UK, Singapore, all places that are set up under the Saskatchewan government to try to increase trade and to help businesses to enter into these new markets. How many offices around the world do you think Manitoba has? I would ask that question. Any answers?
0.
We have 0. We have 0 offices throughout the world. And so my takeaway from that day, it could have been one that was extremely humbling, to learn about all these other great provinces and what they're doing. And then little old Manitoba is kind of sitting at the back, and we've kind of got nothing going on. But that's not the reality of what happens in Manitoba. The challenge that Manitoba has is we don't tell our story. Nobody knows what's going on in Manitoba. We do a terrific job when it comes to industries like tourism, in terms of telling people why they need to come to Manitoba from a tourism perspective, but we don't do a good job of telling Manitobans why they need to come here from an economic perspective. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that tonight. So I want to talk about a number of the key sectors and the companies that we need to start telling the rest of the world about. I heard Saskatchewan bragging that one of the key issues that's going on right now in the world, and what you hear government talk a lot about, is that Manitoba and Canada has what the rest of the world needs. As we move to this net zero economy, one of the key components to that net zero economy is critical minerals. Critical minerals are something that Saskatchewan is bragging. They have 23 of the 31 critical minerals that are in demand in the world. Manitoba has 29. Yet we're not first in regards to mining in Canada. In terms of the green economy, we have inexpensive, renewable hydroelectric power. 97% of all power used in Manitoba comes from hydroelectricity. Other provinces can't claim that. When you look at agriculture and agri-food, 19 grain companies are headquartered right here in Manitoba. I drove past today Roquette, the largest pea protein facility in the world, right here in Manitoba. Maple Leaf and High Life, leaders in pork processing in terms of getting goods all over the world. In manufacturing, we've got 68,000 employees and close to 1,400 companies right here in Manitoba. The NFI Group, New Flyer Industries, based in Manitoba, currently supplies 3,000 zero-emission buses to over 150 cities across the world. MacDon has been a leader in building high-performance agricultural equipment for more than 75 years. How many people knew those stories? How many people talk about those stories when they're talking to their friends, or when they're talking to people in other provinces? We need to start telling those stories. I could go on and on. One of the things that we've done at the Manitoba Chamber of Commerce is, and we had this conversation around the table, people don't like to get outside the perimeter. There's a little bit of perimeteritis. I agree, there is. We need to show opportunities throughout Manitoba about what's happening in rural Manitoba. So one of the initiatives that we've been undertaking at the Manitoba Chamber of Commerce is we do economic development tours. We bring business people into your communities. We tour them in the companies in your communities. I get to see firsthand all of these world-class companies in places like Dauphin, and Winkler, and Morden, and Steinbach, Neepawa, Portage. They're everywhere. But we need to start telling those stories. We need to also take into account Manitoba. What else do we have to offer? We've got effective advantages with low rent, land prices, electricity rates. Our location as the geographical center of North America also proves as an incentive and an advantage as a vital hub for transportation. We're home to Centerport, Canada, North America's largest tri-modal inland port, right here, Manitoba. The Port of Churchill is poised to be a key hub to move goods to the north and to Europe, right here in Manitoba. We've got workforce strengths. Manitoba has a strong and diverse workforce. We all know that. This is a perfect example right here in Neepawa. I know how important the provincial nominee program has been to this community to help recruit new talent from across the world to our province. Communities like Neepawa have benefited. And so really the role of the Chamber, and what I've taken away from really this past week, and it's kind of got me rethinking things, is that we need to do a better job in terms of being those champions. And who better than an organization like the Chamber Network to tell those stories? It's the role of the Chamber, and I view it as my role, to continue to be that champion for businesses in Manitoba. And it's your role as Chamber members to talk about the great businesses that are located right here in Neepawa. The rest of the province and the rest of the world need to know about this. The other role that we really play as a network is we do a lot of advocacy. And a lot of people think that's really the role the Manitoba Chamber of Commerce plays, and it is. And so I'm going to share with you some results that we recently did. We did a Manitoba Business Outlook survey. And this is a survey that we do on an annual basis. We partner with Leger Marketing. And we really want to get a pulse of what's going on in the Manitoba business community. What are the issues that are most on the minds of business leaders? Because that really helps us to have those conversations with government in terms of what kind of policy changes do we need to make? What does the focus need to be here in Manitoba? So I'm going to share with you what we learned. Almost 4 to 5 business leaders indicated inflation has had a moderate to significant impact on their organizations over the past year. And that's not surprising whatsoever. We've heard so much about the impact that inflation has had on the average Manitoban, Well, it's also had a significant impact on business owners in this province, decisions that they've had to make as a result of that. In addition, 71% of those business leaders expect inflation to be the biggest barrier moving forward as well. And so what does that do? It causes problems for business. It causes challenges for business. What we learned is that 1 out of every 2 businesses has reduced their profit margins. Less money for that business to make investments. What we've learned, 48% of businesses have been forced to raise their prices to deal with the inflationary pressures. Or they've reduced their internal costs by 47% to really combat the impact that inflation has had on their organizations. And so these are real challenges that business owners in Manitoba are dealing with, and that we're working with and encouraging government. Don't put additional cost pressures onto the backs of business owners in this province. They can't afford to take any more. Business optimism though, and this is the one great thing when I talk to business owners, it doesn't matter where I go in the province. Business owners are always optimistic. Things are always going to get better. It's not going to get worse, things are going to get better. Business optimism is up 74 to 79%. It's back to where we were seeing things a little bit before the pandemic, which is a good sign. The business is optimistic that things are going to get better in the future. However, only 48% of business leaders think we're competitive with other provinces. And when I talk about the Saskatchewan and Alberta, that's what we're talking about. What is businesses like? They like certainty. They want to be competitive with other jurisdictions. And there's a noticeable difference, that 48%, when you look at small businesses. 69% of small businesses in this province don't think we're competitive with other jurisdictions. And for organizations like us, that's the reason that we exist, is to have those conversations with government and to share this information, to say that we need to take measures to make sure that we're more competitive with other jurisdictions. To make Manitoba more competitive, what do business leaders say that needs to happen? Respondents suggest reducing business taxes. Manitoba continues to be one of the only provinces that has a payroll tax. Many of you in this room may not be aware, but a payroll tax in Manitoba is a tax that businesses pay when their payroll reaches a certain threshold. In Manitoba, when you get to $2.5 million worth of payroll, basically you pay a tax of about 2.5%. So as you grow into it, you're going to get a tax bill for about $30,000. Most other provinces don't have this. It's a disincentive to grow your business. These are things that we need to get rid of in Manitoba. The government needs to take action on this. The other issue that we hear consistently is on workforce. We heard the conversations around the table as well in terms of how challenging it is to find workforce. The issue that we're finding with workforce in Manitoba is we're not moving the dial. We're not being able to move things forward. We've yet to move the dial. Only 25% of business leaders in this province think that the workforce situation is getting any better. Close to 50% say it's getting worse or worsening. In nearly half of large employers, 44%, we're having difficulty finding skilled employees. 30% of small and medium-sized businesses, we're having difficulty finding sales and customer service employees. The workforce situation is going to continue to be a problem here in Manitoba. And you would have seen recently that Stats Canada put out information in regards to unemployment rates. Unemployment rate in Manitoba is the best in Canada. It's about 4%, which is a good sign that that means a good percentage of your population is working. But if you're looking for workers, it also means that there's not very many people that are out there. And so when you dig down a little bit deeper on that 4% of people that are unemployment numbers, it's less when you look at between 25 and 54. It gets to about 3%. That's where that skilled labor is going to be. And so that's why this is going to continue to be a problem. And so there's solutions that organizations like us are found. And really a lot of this helps to develop our advocacy strategy. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what the focus from the Manitoba Chamber of Commerce is, what we're focused on conversations with the new government. And so over the course of the election that took place in October, one of the things that we wanted to outline is what's going to be key for Manitoba moving forward. The key focus for us as an organization is always, we need to grow the economy. That always has to be job one. And the one thing that the new Premier has, and you might hear him talk about a lot, is he talks a lot about the economic horse. The economic horse pulls the social cart. We agree. It's the economy that pays for the things like the healthcare, the education, the social programs, all of those things that Manitobans want needs to be paid by somehow. And if you don't have a growing economy, it makes it difficult to do that. And so we outlined what we call the Manitoba Prosperity Platform. There's 4 areas that I'm going to focus on. I'm going to give you a little touch on each one. First thing that we focused on was strengthening the economic competitiveness and business confidence in Manitoba. First thing, you need to enhance tax competitiveness. We shared the results earlier with you that Manitobans don't think and business leaders don't find that we're competitive. We need to be competitive. People make decisions in terms of where they're going to set up their business, where they're going to start their careers. They look at numbers. And so we're asking the new government and all governments to commit to eliminating the payroll tax and continue to focus on personal tax competitiveness. Look at the tax levels in various jurisdictions. Manitoba does not fare well at any level, and that's something that needs to be taken into consideration. We also need to look at it, and one thing that I'll give the previous government credit for was they made adjustments to the basic personal amount, which is the amount that you're able to take before you're taxed in Manitoba. We have been so far behind provinces like Saskatchewan and Alberta. The previous government increased it significantly to 15,000. We're still behind Saskatchewan, but there needs to be a push to continue to move forward with it. The one thing this current government has done is they have kept all of the tax implements that the previous government put in place that took effect on January 1st. That's a good thing. We need to focus on sectors with the greatest opportunities. We need to look at those industries that I talked about, critical minerals. We need to look at agri-food. We need to look at transportation. We need to make investments in green energy. These are areas that Manitoba has key businesses that can play a role. We need to make sure that we're supporting those sectors and we're growing those sectors. We need to make sure ensure we've got equitable access to capital. That's one of the biggest challenges that most businesses will tell you, is getting capital to continue to grow their businesses. We need to do a better job of making sure that that's equitable for women, for Indigenous businesses, and that's got to be a challenge that the business community continues to move forward with. We need to improve business confidence. One of the biggest things that business likes, they love certainty. One of the things that we've asked government for, if you're going to make changes to regulations, legislation, how about consulting with the business community beforehand? Instead of surprising the business community with changes. Have a conversation in terms of how we can work together on these things. And so that's one of the things that we've asked as well. Make sure the business is at the table when decisions are being made about things that are going to impact the business community. The second pillar that we outlined was how do we attract and retain Manitoba's talent? And so one of the key areas that we look at and one of the key challenges that we've continually heard from business is exactly that. And so one of the things that we've identified is that we need to better align both post-secondary education with industry needs. We need better labor market information. What does business need in the next 3 years, in the next 5 years? And are we working with post-secondary institutions to make sure that we're aligning that? I've got 2 young boys. I was having a conversation around the table tonight. My oldest son is a carpenter. So I had conversations with him. He's never gonna not have a job. He gets requests, he's 20 years old, he's looking for his apprenticeship. He gets requests through Indeed probably 3 to 4 times a week with companies wanting to hire him. He's never gonna have a problem because he understands and that's an industry and a job that's in demand. We need to do a better job of that. In addition, we need to help do a better job of retaining our youth talent, and that's a part of it. One of the things that we're working on right now with the Canada West Foundation is how do we keep young people in this province? We're having this conversation around the table as well. What I think needs to happen is we need to do a much better job in our education system, making young people aware of what the jobs are, where the jobs are going to be, what the career paths look like. I think that's extremely important that we focus on that. And we've asked the current government, let's put a plan together to deal with this in your first 12 months in office. We need to leverage the opportunities of Manitoba's Indigenous community. That's the largest pool of young employees in the province, is our Indigenous community. How do we integrate them into the workforce as well? That's got to be a key priority. We need to develop an Indigenous-led strategy to ensure that they're partners in the development of provincial economic growth and labor policies. And we need to continue to attract talent through immigration and improve retention by reducing the barriers. The one thing that I've learned in regards to immigration programs, the best run immigration programs are run through local communities. They're tied with chambers of commerce. They're tied within the community so that when new Canadians come into your community, they're ingrained into their community. They're provided with the supports that they need to make sure that they're going to be successful and that their families are going to be successful. I love hearing stories of new businesses opening, and Marilyn was telling me some of those stories around the table as well. That's exactly what we need to be doing, make them part of the community. The third pillar we focus on is facilitating global trade and reducing barriers. The key, and this for me has become my number one concern. When I find out that Saskatchewan has 9 offices around the world, Manitoba has none. Manitoba doesn't even have a trade department. We don't do trade in Manitoba, according to government. That's something, this isn't a new thing. This is something that's been going on for a number of years. And if we want to try to really grow our economy, export to new markets, grow local businesses, have those relationships, we need to make sure that we're developing a trade strategy for Manitoba and that we facilitate that. We need to remove the regulatory burdens. We need to work with the federal government on the mutual recognition of rules, regulations, policies to allow for the free movement of people, goods, services. That's a big gap that we have here in Manitoba in terms of, and with other jurisdictions. We need to get rid of the red tape. We need to continue to invest in trade enabling infrastructure, making sure that our highways, I remember this conversation, I had this about a year ago. I hadn't driven down Highway 75 since the pandemic. Has anyone driven down Highway 75 any time in the last 2 years? That could potentially be, it's our main artery between Manitoba and the United States. It is by far the worst highway, probably, in all of this province. That can't happen. We need to make sure that we're investing in those key arteries so that trade can happen. We need to continue to focus on economic reconciliation by developing a consistent, coordinated approach to Indigenous consultation and accommodation, which identifies the rights and responsibilities. It must reflect factors such as new and existing obligations within established case law. Economic reconciliation is a key part for Manitoba as well. We need to continue to build on. And the fourth pillar for us, the one that I think you'll find important, is how do we build strong, resilient, and healthy communities? It's absolutely critical in this province. And so this is an area where some people say, why is the Chamber getting involved in those areas? We think there needs to be significant investments in rural healthcare. Healthcare is a real challenge. It's a business issue. If you don't have a hospital or an ER, if you don't have nurses in your community, how do you keep people in your community? How do you attract businesses to your community? This is something that it's not just a government issue. This is a business issue. This is one that we worked with Doctors Manitoba about 18 months ago in terms of trying to find some solutions to these issues. And we looked at it from the perspective of not everything is a healthcare issue. Sometimes it's a business issue. And it's looking at things through a different lens. And so that's where organizations like ourselves and many others are willing to work with the industries like the Doctors Manitoba and with local mayors and reeves to understand that how do we solve some of these issues? Because we can solve those issues. The other area that we focus on is we need to make sure that we're expanding and supporting early childhood education. Childcare. Childcare is a business issue. It's 100% a business issue. If we don't have the childcare, how do we get people to come back to work? If you don't have childcare facilities in your communities, that makes it more challenging to have a workforce. But at the same time, we need to make sure that we're training people in childcare. This is a business issue and one that we think the government needs to take seriously. We need to prioritize public safety in Manitoba municipalities. Make sure that the investments in local police or RCMP so that we're in safe communities as well. And this has become an issue that I know a lot of rural communities are struggling with. We need to make sure that they've got the supports. And finally, we need to ensure that we've got fair and predictable municipal funding. Everyone knows that it's local government that's closest to being able to solve the issues, but it has the less amount of revenue to be able to do so. Provincial government needs to make sure that they're providing funding that local governments can count on to support that. And so those are things that we're continually working on, encouraging government to look at. If we want to have a growing economy, we need to focus on those areas and those recommendations that we've kind of talked about. And so really the role of the Manitoba Chamber of Commerce is to make sure that the business community has a voice at those tables. We're not just there to complain about things, we're there to work together, to find solutions, We do an advocacy day on an annual basis. We bring all the local chambers in to Manitoba legislature, spend a day with ministers, giving them examples of what's going on in rural Manitoba. Jennifer was there this past year when we did it. We had a number of ministers and the premiers to have those conversations. That's the role of the chamber in your local community, is to be able to tell those stories, to understand what the local needs are, and for organizations like us to be able to take that and to advocate on your behalf. And it really leads to hopefully greater prosperity for Manitoba businesses and turning communities. I make sure, my role is to make sure that we're at those tables. So when the government asked to develop a Northern Economic Development Strategy, it was one that I co-chaired. When the government asked to develop a Rural Manitoba Economic Development Corporation, it was one that I was asked to go around the rural Manitoba, develop a platform, and certainly currently chair, and it's one that Marilyn was on from the beginning as well. I've been involved in terms of developing tourism strategies for the province. We were involved in the tax review committee for the province, and I currently sit on the Premier's new business and jobs team as well. It's our job to make sure that the business community has a voice at those tables, and issues that are important to business and the issues that I talked about are going to continue to have government listening to. And it's really, again, I'm glad there's so many people here, because I can't talk enough about the importance of the local chamber network. A big part of what I like to do is to come out and have these conversations. Come to local chambers. Most times I like to listen more than I like to talk, simply because I like to ask questions in terms of what's going on, what's happening in your community. What can we do as a provincial body to help your community to grow? And that's a key part of this as well, which is always why I suggest get involved with your local chamber of commerce. So, if it's sitting on a board or making sure that you've got a strong voice in your community, that's extremely important. I'll kind of wrap up because, when I've thought about sort of the why, in terms of why we continue to do this all the time, and I kind of went through a litany of whether it was information or data in regards to kind of what's happening in Manitoba. And it really struck me probably a couple months ago. And so I'm probably like a lot of you in this room that, I've got kids that are 18 and 20 now, and it was probably about a year ago. So when I talked about my son earlier, my son went through high school. He was not a great student, just like his dad. And made a decision that he wanted to go into carpentry, which fully supported. Went to MITT, got his certificate. As soon as he was done school, he had a job. Had a job, good pay, was able to buy his pickup truck that he wanted, all that kind of stuff. And it was almost a year ago that his boss, they were framing houses in Winnipeg, made the decision that he was taking the business to Calgary. Decided that he thought it would be better for his family and for the business to move to Calgary. And asked my son to go with him. And said, I'm gonna pay you this amount of money. I'm gonna put you up we'll pay for an apartment for you and two of the other guys that is gonna bring this whole little crew out, and we're all these young kids. And I want you to come out to Calgary and work the business for me. My son was adamant he was going to Alberta. My wife was adamant he wasn't going to Alberta. I thought this would be a good experience for him. So for the better part of 3 months, we were preparing for, at that time, our 19-year-old son was going to leave home. He was going to Alberta, start his career. And the fear that I had was, what are the chances he comes home? Were probably not good. Luckily, his buddies found girlfriends and found other jobs and decided they weren't going to go to Alberta. So he was going to be the lone one to go to Alberta. He made the decision to stay. And which is something, obviously, my wife and I are thrilled with, but it's become almost like a mission for me now, is that how do I create a province that my son doesn't want to leave? How do I talk about all these great opportunities? How do we create a more competitive business climate? How do we make it so that Manitoba and not Alberta is the place that people want to work? And so that's what I ask of you tonight as well. And that's why I ask you to get involved with the local Chamber of Commerce. Start being champions for your community. Start being champions for Manitoba. It's time that we start telling the Manitoba story about what's great about this province and about why people should stay in this province. And that's what I ask of you tonight. Do what you can to keep my son, your kids, in this province. Again, thank you for inviting me out here to speak tonight, and I really appreciate and continue to support the Neepawa Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate it so much.
For sure.
I have a little present for you from Neepawa Tourism and Neepawa Chamber. Thank you so much. And,
Awesome. Thank you.
that was great. Thanks so much. So now I have the honor of announcing the 2023 Business of the Year Awards. And I'm going to read the nomination letter that we received from Stride Credit Union. We at Stride would like to nominate Annika Mack with It's Time Fashion and Gifts as Business of the Year. Annika and her staff have provided exceptional customer service year over year. You are always greeted with a friendly smile and a welcoming attitude every time you're in her store. Her active social media posts always provide insights to the latest trends and current offers available, as well as her Monday motivations to remember to be kind to yourself and others. Annika has been instrumental in organizing and supporting different fundraising efforts over the years. Few highlights include the partnership between Grit Force Fitness, formerly Whitey's Body Shop, Fitness and Body Shop, as well as Creed's Clothing to host a couple of fashion show events. The proceeds from this fundraising were donated to cancer care efforts. They also hosted a Movember Stash Bash where proceeds were donated and raised awareness for men's health. Another successful initiative between It's Time Fashion and Gifts and Inspire Studio in Minnedosa saw a night of art and fashion at the Minnedosa Beach Pavilion. Proceeds from this event were donated to Neepawa Palliative Care and Kendall Primary Care. I hope I said that right. It's Time Fashion and Gifts has been an active member of the Neepawa Chamber of Commerce for many years, and they would often jump at the chance to support local initiatives from the Chamber's Harvest Celebration Night, Think Pink events, Winter's and Midsummer's Eve days. These showcase hospitality in the Neepawa community, as well as investing in local commerce. During the pandemic, with the resulting restrictions in place, they found innovative ways to continue to support her own business and other local businesses. She organized and participated in a Shop Local road trip and partnered with surrounding communities of Minnedosa, Rapid City to support each other and other stores and increase awareness. As she moves to her next adventure in 2024, we would like to thank her for the positive contribution and impact she has shown the town of Neepawa for over 17 years. And so I believe Cheryl's gonna come up and accept the award. We're gonna get a couple of photographs. Thank you. And then you can say a few words.
Anybody that knows me knows I'm an introvert, so this is not my forte. Annika sent is also not hers, so she went to the Dominican to get out of it. So I will just read you a little note that she sent to me to you. First off, I'm sorry I'm not with you in person tonight. We decided to sneak away on a hot holiday after Whirlwind Month, but rest assured you are celebrating with you in person. In spirit, sorry. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for this incredible honor. To be nominated by Stride Credit Union for Business of the Year was already a highlight, but to actually receive the award is such a wonderful way to end the 18-year story that It's Time has been. First and foremost, I want to express my deepest gratitude to the incredible team at It's Time Fashion and Gifts. They say that a business is only as good as its people, and I'm fortunate to have the best team in the business. Our success all these years is a testament to their hard work, dedication, passion, and for what we do. I've always said we've won the staffing lottery at It's Time, and tonight's award only proves this point further. And our amazing customers. You are the heartbeat of our business. Your loyalty and support have been the driving force behind our success. Whether you've been with us from the beginning or just recently discovered its time, please know that you are truly appreciated. It's been an incredible journey serving this community, and I'm grateful for the memories and stories we've shared over the years. The friendship bonds will be carried with us for a long time, even if we won't see each other in the store anymore. As we transition into a new chapter and Lisa will take the wheel of the business, I couldn't be more excited about the future of its time. Lisa is not just a successor, she's a visionary with big plans for 263 Hamilton Street. I have full confidence in her ability to lead the team and take the business to new heights. In closing, I want to express my deepest thanks to the Neepawa Chamber of Commerce and Stride Credit Union for this incredible recognition. Winning Business of the Year not once but twice in our time here is a dream come true, and I am truly humbled. Here's to 18 years of fabulous memories, to our outstanding team, and to the wonderful community of Neepawa. It's been a fantastic ride, and who knows, maybe someday I'll write a book about the adventures of selling women's fashion in a small town.
And just before I go down, can I get someone to run and get the ballot box that's on the ticket table? I forgot to bring it back here. And I will do a draw for our door prize. And then I'll bring it All right. So another thing that Manitoba Chambers does is the Tickets to Success program. And the door prize tonight is tickets to the Winnipeg Symphony. So you can go there for, it's in February, the concert's in February. And let's see who it's going to be. It is going to be ticket number 765059. Oh! What is that? Oh, somebody in the back, I see hands. Oh, my God. That's Devon. Yes. And Divine is also one of our newest chamber members. I'll act like I'm giving it to you. Thank you. You're welcome. Congratulations. And now we will turn it over to Pam Miller for the AGM portion of the evening.
So I will call the 124th Annual Neepawa and District Chamber of Commerce Annual General Meeting to order at 8:16 p.m. The agenda is on the screen, and can I ask for a motion to come from the floor to adopt the agenda as presented?
Marilyn.
And somebody second that. Brian Headley. Are there any changes or discussion that's required regarding the agenda? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And approval of the 2023 Chamber AGM minutes. Those were sent out via email recently. Is there somebody on the floor that can move to adopt those minutes as presented? Sorry, your name?
Jordan.
Jordan, yes. I don't see you in person often, sorry.
I need to turn my camera on more.
So we just second that motion. Christine, thank you, Christine Lewis. Was there any discussion or changes required that anyone noted? Not hearing any, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. I will now, sorry, we were going to have Ally do part of this so that you didn't have to listen to me all the time, but she was called away with family business this evening, so. Yeah. So our year in review, starting back in January 2024, or all of 24, we had a full year of events, and we're very thankful to support our business community and bring a number of meaningful events to our community. We kicked off the year with the 123rd annual AGM in partnership with Neepawa Tourism, where we presented the Neepawa Vet Clinic with the 2022 Business of the Year Award. We welcomed local guest speaker Rob Wolf from North Star Seeds to share their local and now global success story. In February, the Chamber was able to attend the local Rural Manitoba Economic Development Conference, which was held in Manitoba, to learn more about the launch of their new business data portal. With full fair planning in full swing and committees meeting, March was a full month as well. In April, we held our first joint cybersecurity webinar with chambers in Carberry and Manitoba. The event was presented by Manitoba Chambers affinity partner, Winnipeg-based Castellan Information Security Systems Managing Director Azhar Ladlin. May brought us into a very busy month and the Chamber feature event of the year. With the help of our Fair Committee team and returning Green Team summer student Lance Lagus, we held a fantastic event, with new Midway Company select shows providing new rides, amusement, fun, and food selections to enjoy. We also had the Hair of the Dog social hosted by the Neepawa Vet Clinic, and we thank them and all our volunteers for making this event possible. We also had a new feature on Sunday afternoon with a reptile exhibit sponsored by Neepawa Gladstone Co-op. The feedback from the community was great, and it remains our biggest fundraising event of the year. May also included a well-attended Business After 5 event with hors d'oeuvres and informational presentation from Highlight Foods. Chamber also shared a Business After 5 and grand opening night at the new location of Neepawa Home Hardware and enjoyed a pleasant evening with a tour and refreshments. Throughout the summer months, we celebrated our local restaurants through our 3rd annual Restaurant Showcase. With an increased participation from our restaurant community, this event has had a huge success. 11 chamber members participated, including restaurants, bakeries, and food trucks. September 2023 saw an opportunity for Law Office, me and Haddad, to host a Business After 5 evening with a much talked about menu from local restaurant Bruise Brothers. The Neepawa District Chamber supported our community by hosting an electoral forum for the 2023 provincial election. Thank you again to Amanda Nottingale for moderating the event and to the Neepawa Library for hosting. October featured a new event formed, a Celebrate Harvest Open Late shopping event. Local retailers stayed open until 8 p.m. to enjoy some post-Thanksgiving sales, and Chamber hosted a hot chocolate fundraiser at the courthouse. There were kids' activities, a free movie at the Roxy, and a charity barbecue that evening as well. We were also very proud to sponsor an award in What's the Big Idea, and would like to congratulate Tammy Atke of Stellar Apparel as the winning pitch for our award. The holiday season began in earnest in November with plans for the annual Chamber Parade of Lights. Thank you to Kinley Thompson, CPA Inc., for once again hosting a free movie at the Roxy Theatre. Santa paid a visit and provided candy bags to the kids, thanks to NACI's Life Skills class for packing these up for us. We had over 35 floats and a wonderful addition of a few animals in the parade as well. The Neepawa Kin Club also rounded out the month with a wonderful Business After 5 and a tour of the KK2 facility. Jennifer Weeb represented the Neepawa Chamber and our community at Chamber Advocacy Day at the Manitoba Legislature. A full day of learning and discussion with chambers from across the province, and she represented our community well. Neepawa was a focus of the conversation, including our continued population and community growth, the new hospital, and our newcomer support. We look forward to the year ahead and hope you will consider joining the Chamber Board or Committee to enhance efforts to support our business members through fundraising initiatives and activities in our community. Please reach out to myself or Jennifer if you are interested in getting involved. Thank you for joining us this evening and for your continued support and partnership in 2024. So the Treasurer's Report, actually before I move on to that, on behalf of the Chamber Board, I would really, really like to say thank you so much to Jennifer for all of your work, putting this together, putting this evening together, putting all of these guides for us together to sound like we know what we're doing. And further thank you to Clint Weed for helping All right, and on to the treasurer's report. The circle, yeah, that, this one. There you go, yeah, okay, sorry. And if you want to just go to tab number 4 there. Please, thank you. Okay. So just a quick rundown of where we're at as far as our assets and liabilities at the end of the year. There's just under $14,000 between our checking and savings accounts, up from about $11,000 at the end of the prior year. There's always $5,000 in our events account that the town of Neepawa provided to the chamber as seed money for events, so that we wouldn't always bother them every year for support. So that's, it's good to have that in our back pocket so we can keep things moving. We have a bit of accounts receivable at the end of this year. It's down from last year, and it's just sponsorships, I think, at the end of the year, yeah. There's a small balance for a prepaid credit card that we've got that Jennifer's able to use for spending, but I believe we're getting away from using that method now, so. Are there any questions on the balance sheet? It's pretty straightforward, but let's go. And profit and loss. So
I'm not a numbers.
fees and revenue from members, that'll be the actual membership fees that we receive from the members each year that help to pay our office costs and help us with continuing programming. We were slightly under budget by about $212 this year, so we did pretty good there. Government funding is on there. That is the green team students that we bring on during the summer months to help with events. There's a line in there that incidental income and reimbursements. It's an in and an out on the income and expense. That would be the chamber bucks and the Neepawa tourism fees that we collect and administer paperwork for. So you'll see a corresponding expense for that. Sponsorship and other event revenue. So this will include our fair, sponsorship of events like the AGM, as well as from time to time hockey camps and I'm missing parade. Yeah. We're somewhat under budget there, but still we're ahead of our 2022 outlook, a few $100s. And as far as expenses go, administrative and overhead costs came in under budget. Advertising and marketing is pretty much on budget there. The AGM expenses were slightly higher, but corresponding to the sponsorship that we had received. So, community projects, that expense came in under budget. The prior year we had the Shop Local event, which we didn't have this past year. Employee wages and benefits, we need to keep Jen, so. As well as the Parade of Lights, that's pretty well what we had budgeted, and then the incidental and reimbursable expenses, that's just the in and out stuff with the chamber bucks. So we had budgeted to have a $70 surplus, and we came in with a small deficit of $113, so I don't know, I'll call that a win. Is there any questions on the profit and loss? So can I have a motion from the floor to adopt the financials as presented, please?
I can make a motion.
Pam Lewandowski. And someone second that? Sherry Francis. Any questions or discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. We're going to pull up our budget. It's a little chaotic, so you'll want to draw your eye to the yellow column. That's our 2024 budgeted numbers. So, thank you. I'll just work with this. So when we set up the budget this year, we first looked at where we were on a 4-year average basis. Plus, we wanted to see what our 2023 budget was to the right-hand side. Thank you. And given the unfortunate word inflation, we did budget that our membership, we definitely hope that our membership fees increase as a result of more members, but we do also acknowledge that we had to slightly increase fees this year to ensure that our costs were covered. So the budget for membership fees is at $16,000. The next batch where it's, can you blow it up just a little bit? Yeah. That should be good. Where it's group insurance, the group share affinity, and service fee income, those numbers don't change much from year to year. Group insurance, when our members subscribe to the Chamber Group Insurance Plan, we do receive some of that money back. That is continuing, right? The other one below it won't necessarily be continuing at the rate that we've had prior. Service fee income, that's usually, and it's not a set amount, it's just an estimate. Neepawa Tourism usually contributes a bit of money back to Chamber to cover Jennifer's costs for collecting their fees. Sponsorship income and fair income, so that'll be, again, events such as the AGM and the fair. Ad hoc events, sorry, the AGM is under ad hoc events. For a total income of $53,800. It's not quite as high as the fair because we are not planning to do the social events anymore on the Saturday night. We are hoping that there might be another user group or service group in town that would like to take that event over. Unfortunately, we don't have the volunteer team to keep that running smoothly for us, so we've decided not to do that. So we're looking at revenue of $52,500. And as far as our expenses, I'm not going to go line by line in here, but our big expenses is wages. So Jennifer is in the office three days a week, plus. And then we have usually a summer student come on for May through mid-August to help with the fair and whatnot. And our other big expense, of course, is the fair. So we've left the budget at $10,000, but I would expect that should drop some with not having a social. And then we've been budgeting for a new computer for a while, so we've left the $2,500 in there and just waiting for the day where we need it. And then other ongoing costs such as telephone, internet, insurance, memberships that we have to be involved in. There is one new line that we've included in with advertising and marketing. Most of the chamber offices have an incidental marketing budget set up so that the chamber administrator is able to make purchases of product or supplies that are needed to keep things running smoothly. So we've added that. I think it's around $1,000 or $1,200, and I'm not seeing it at the moment. Is it at the top? Yeah, marketing discretionary, $1,300, there it is. So basically, all told, we're looking at a balanced budget. We've budgeted for $52,500 of total expenses, aiming for zero bottom line. So I've talked a lot about it. Any questions? Can I get a motion from the floor to adopt the 2024 budget? Sherry Francis, second. Marilyn Crew. Any other questions? Any questions at all? No. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And then, what else was on there?
Board of Directors.
Oh, Board of Directors. Yes. So we've heard a bit of a resounding theme here this evening about volunteering. And so we'd like to get Pam organized. Yeah, so before we talk about incoming board of directors, I would like to make thanks to Carrie McPherson for her years on the board of directors, as well as Ken Liddell from Neepawa Banner and Press for his years on the board. They are departing from our board this year. And I would like to present the names of the slate of returning individuals, which are myself, Pam Miller from MNP, Marilyn Crew, Economic Development Officer from Town of Neepawa, Christine Loomis from Stride Credit Union, Jordan Lahowie from High Life, and Ali Petrebka from Co-op Neepawa and Gladstone. As well, Matthew Beach has expressed an interest. He's from RBC for joining our board. And I would now like to call for nominations from the floor for additional board members. And I have to make a second call for nominations. Are there any interested parties or nominations? And a third and final call for nominations. See some persuasion happening. Okay, I will declare nominations closed, and we will have the members of the board that are present please come up. And if I can also ask Mayor Brian Headley to read the oath of office. You have a great
So just before the oath, I just want to say congratulations to the Chamber on an excellent year. Chuck, thank you very much for coming out tonight. Really enjoyed your comments. Only one little challenge is when you head back, instead of upgrading Highway 75, did you know that Highway 5 travels from the north all the way down to the USA and doesn't flood? Just a thought. Okay. Repeat after me.
No, we just say I do again.
Oh, we're doing something. Oh.
Yeah, you just read it and we'll say I do.
All right. I swear. Oh, no, that is how we did it before, yeah. I swear that I faithfully and truly perform my duty as a director of the Neepawa and District Chamber of Commerce, and that I will promote the objects for which said chamber was constituted according to the true intent and meaning of the same. So help me God.
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. And on that note, I will call the meeting to close at 8:27. Thank you all.
We just want to say thank you very much again to all of our sponsors tonight. The Chamber cannot do these types of events without your support, so thank you very much for coming out. We have Stride, High Life, Taylor Law, Neepawa Gladstone Co-op, Journey Wealth. We have World Financial Group, the Legion, Myers Norris Penny. And yes, thank you to Chuck. He ducked out. He had to get going back to the city. And so, however, really great words from Chuck tonight on how we as Manitobans do not do a very good job of expressing who we are, what it means to live in Manitoba. And I think kind of the same thing as living in Neepawa. And I think reflecting on his words, we need to do better at explaining why we live in this community, what makes this community so great to live in. I came to this community 20 years ago knowing what type of potential there was in this community, and there still is that potential to continue to grow and grow and grow. Get involved in the chamber or in the tourism committee. Tourism is an $8 billion industry, $8 billion with a B industry in Manitoba alone. It is huge opportunity for your business to get on board with tourism. How can you get involved with marketing campaigns? How can you get involved with supporting the actions that our chamber and our tourism board do? It does, and it will drive business to your door. Support those things, get involved. Maybe you don't sit on the board, but help out at an event. Sign up to be a part of a Chamber After 5, showcase your businesses out there, get involved in the fair, get involved in trying to support some of those shop local types of ideas that are going around. The other part too is shop local. Be our own best ambassadors. When you shop local, that dollar stays in this community 20 more times than it ever does leaving it. And it supports your, it supports the people that you work for, who then supports your kids, who supports the rink, who supports that, it really honestly drives the community. So please, when, you go away, talk about your business, talk about why you're here in Neepawa, talk about the great things that this community is doing, and be involved in it. Get involved, for sure. So thank you very much. Lots of great things that are happening and being planned for 2024, an exciting time to be in Neepawa. Thank you very much, Jennifer and the Neepawa Tourism and the Chamber for inviting me to be your MC, and have a great evening, everybody, and we will see you hopefully in great businesses all throughout the year. Thanks.